Okay, we are back. All right, now after the character creation, so after if you watched episode 1 that I posted, this is where it happens. This is what you become. You automatically get a ship, and you're in space and you're in the game. There's a lot of what to do next. What the heck goes all these buttons? So we're gonna try to talk through this screen here and help you out a little bit out so everybody's the stuff is making sense. This is basically the AI and any dialogue box that you get in game. You're going to get right here. You have a different image of who it is with a name, and then there'll be a message, and it does like auto scroll. It is somewhat a pain to some people. There is no way to disable this. So any mission that there's going to be a lot of chatting, you're just going to have to wait for it to disappear. Up above, it's giving you an alert about what to do. And over here, it's asking you to click on this, kind of what the little arrow's doing. And I'm going to cover some of the little options here. So what you're touching has stats. It shows up over here. There's a wreckage, and then it has these bars. And then also in your ship, you'll see the same thing here. We'll figure it out here in a second. Anyway, this is yours. So when these are green, that means you're getting a boost on your ship when it shows down here. When it's red, it means you're getting something taken away from you, either from another ship, NPC, or if you're in a wormhole, the environment itself. So just pay attention to these when, especially on your ship, but these are the indicators. Here, this is for orbiting, moving away from the object you have targeted, moving towards the object you have targeted, viewing in. If it's far away and you want to see what it looks like, this is very underutilized and not as needed as you think. This is almost like accept, interact button. You're going to use this a lot. So even if you click on this, you're going to have to hit this to acknowledge it. Because this is a mobile game, there are no hotkeys. There's no way to hit like F1 for this to happen. This is a lot of finger touch and mouse point. Messages to the system show up here. They show up as a little speaker. This is not you talking in game or mobile. This is for letting you know if something's happening in the game. This could be a system 50 jumps away from you, or it could be happening right in your system. So if you pay attention to it, it shows up here. Anytime you see the word savages, that is the NPC corp group. So anytime you see that savages are doing something, either being defending or being under attack, savages are the NPCs. So anything brand new. So any object that is clickable or interactable or just needs to be shown to like let you know what it is shows up here, and it grows a list. These are targets. These are things that you would allow to be targeted and attacked. So that shows up here, and we'll talk about that in a second. These are people that are nearby you. This is good and bad people, and also includes your wingman, which that'll be another episode. Here, this will be items in the solar system that you can get to or interact with. There's other ways to get to these things as well from other options, but that's what this option does, and this is utilized pretty heavily. And this is a settings button that we can affect what shows up here, and we'll go through that here in a second. So I'm going to do what's asking, and I'm going to click wreckages. And then I'm going to then come over here and hit this interact button. It looks like a gear, it looks like a settings button, but it's actually like accept, enter, okay, just think of it that way. So I'm going to interact.
Target engaged.
And you have to do nothing other than it just scans, okay? It's doing its thing. When this completes, look, I get another message. It's going to tell me what it found. I may actually get something from it, or, like in this case, now it's going to tell me something's being targeted, which means I'm probably going to have a fight. So my enemies just appeared. Here they come. So again, we need to target. And now they're getting close. And then here I have a bunch more features. You can see my ship on all my options. So I'm locking a target with this button over here. It's now firing. And I need to click the buttons to fire back. Okay, and each one has different timers. So I'm using them. As they cool down, I need to reuse them again. I'm targeting the new ship, and again, I'm fighting. I'm currently orbiting at this range by default. That's a default feature for when you're fighting with this, so you can change that at any time. I can double click to go where I want to, or I could just do the button to say I want to directly go from them or go away. Now I did fight them. Now, this is my shields, this is my armor, this is my energy, and this is my velocity. If this armor, if the green goes down, the armor starts taking effect. So the armor doesn't go down until you have no more shields. If the armor goes all the way to the bottom, your ship explodes. You're dead. Okay? There is no salvage after that. So this is the one that you really need to pay attention to. Energy is also important. As I'm using these options, and I use the even the booster, all of this stuff takes energy. Now there is recharging, self-recharging. There's modules you can use to make this go better. But if you don't regulate and you don't research your ship, you will run out of energy and you'll be dead in the water because you can't fight if you don't have energy. You can't even cycle your weapons. So this is extremely important. This gray bar, the biggest thing to kind of notice is when it's at the top, that's as fast as you possibly can go. And if that's not fast enough, you're going to need to research velocity or research some of the modules that can give you better speed so that you can go faster. But this is just kind of showing you your speed that you're going. And then here are the buttons that I talked about up here. Again, they're showing up here. This window here, when you undock or warp through a gate, there is a temporary amount of time that you are like protected, invulnerable from people attacking you. But if you're not warping multiple distances that you have already auto-planned, or you're kind of like checking things out on a gate, and this goes away, you're technically free to be targeted. And this can happen in green zones, yellow zones, or red zones. So just be aware of that even though you think you're safe in a high-end region, if this goes away, you're available to be targeted. And in some cases, depending on what the ship is, you can get one shot and be blown up. In PvP in this game, you do not recover from a PvP death, so you lose everything. So just be aware of that. We're going to finish this quick.
Target engaged.
Again, scanning. Once we use a booster, and I use the booster, and it uses some energy. Now it's uploading. I want to show you this. There's 6 objects. That's what that means. 6 objects in the system. Every system has a space station and then other objects. So you can see here this has a wormhole in it, and then it has exits to other systems that I could go to, and it also has a control hub that in Lawless and other areas, well, Lawless you can attack and take control with. And here is another interaction that happens within missions. I'm just going to hit OK, and I actually get some rewards.
I only want to retire peacefully.
So I'm going to come back to this for a second. It lets me. Yep. I know I don't
Starting warp engine.
I'll stop it for a second, just for you. All right. So back to this. These are the objects I can go to. This is chat. This is voice, and this is what group I want to talk in or touch. But I can come in here. All you gotta do is open this up, click on it, and I have all my options to talk in. And even in some groups, you can use the translation, which is actually pretty good to read what other people say in different languages. So you can do that. And then this person, anything with a link, is actually an interaction within the game, either corporation, ship, showing debris, whatever. You can chat. And then, again, if you want to do voice, and in here, let me see if I can show you this. At the top, right here, when you're in different channels, if you have this button clicked and somebody decides to do a voice message because it's easier on mobile and sometimes in game, you can have this play so that you can automatically open this up and it'll play for you and actually read it to you without you having to pay attention to it. But if you want to see what's going on in different systems, you can click here and then you'll get messages based on that system. People nearby, I actually don't have any. And then this is nice. You can sort everything in here on your list that shows up either by distance, name, or durability. So people that you're shooting that are getting weak, you can always put them up top if you wanted. The other thing is filter. So on the target list, who am I okay with being after? So you typically don't want your wingman. You typically don't want your ally. You typically don't want custom offense because that's going to get you attacked. Neutral, that's okay because they can attack you too. On the friend list, whatever, the fleet member is auto checked. You can't undo that one. Go back to it. But you can go look here at your list in wingman and not fleet member. I do recommend that you take off the fleet member, the wingman, because you don't need to really see that nearby. When they're there to help you, you're not too worried about it. You're worried about how many other people are there around you. But you can take it off if you want. And then in the list here, if you want these objects gone, the celestial objects are gone or showing, which is the stars and planets, you check it or not. And previously you were able to warp. There might be a bug here, but you can, if you have this checked, you can technically, from this list, be able to warp to them. There is some future involvement, looks like, to be involved, but it's up to you whether you want this checked. So that's what this button does. Otherwise, you don't really touch it. And so when I clicked on, like last thing, I clicked on Central Control Hub. It's over here. This button, anytime you see this, is Warp to. And if this is changing my view so that I can decide whether or not that my tactic is better to see this grid, or I need to go longer. And if I hit it again, I'm back to normal. So a lot of people like to use this. It depends on what your plan of attack is and how you want to use it. Excuse me. Anytime you're not warping, you may want to utilize this auto, so that if anything comes after you that's targeting you or attacking you, if this auto's turned on,
Auto combat activated.
and you're within close range or close enough range for your weapons to engage, your weapons will engage automatically. In addition, this auto shield, which is not part of your build out, it's just on every ship. This auto shield will also do its job and it also takes some energy to use. But these four things will automatically run. This is your actual module shield. Anything from after the afterburner onto the left, all of these are manual. You cannot have this auto do anything with them. So just be aware of that. In case you're looking at that, this is again your targeting button. This hides the options, so you can just have a pretty view. This is open up your OPS, which is all your things that you can do. It's very useful, and it tells you if you have anything going on that you can do. This is your cargo hold. So if anything cargo that I've gotten from doing things, it shows up. And if I want to filter them by what's in here, I can do this. Cargo space is shown here. And once you exceed it, you will not be able to collect anything else. And this is menu for all intents and purposes. It shows you my profile. I can go in here and find a button. We'll cover this in another episode. My level, my options for the same. This is the same thing as this for my ops. Standings, settings, and settings have a lot of nice features in it too. So this is your screen. This is pretty much all, majority of the buttons. There are fleet buttons here that we'll get to when we talk about fleets. But this is your interaction. You can double click or double tap anywhere on screen to move. And you can stop that by hitting the pause button. Pause is basically stop moving at all times. Okay? All right, so we'll do another episode on some other things, but this is to kind of just get you started familiar with your screen and what things are happening and what you can do with it. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, hit the like button, and if you want to see more and you're looking to watch more, please subscribe. Appreciate it.